Agility, quickness, change of direction. To be good at basketball, you should probably be good at those things. And to improve your agility, you need to be using the speed ladder and performing those fancy footwork drills you see in athlete training centers all over the world, right? Not so fast. I mean, everybody is doing it, but stop and take 10 seconds to think about it. Seriously, I'll wait. When in a basketball game do you make quick choppy steps like you do when doing all those different ladder drills? Sure, you break down and chop your feet when you close out on a shooter, but some coaches don't even teach a closeout that way. And all those different footwork drills through ladders, sure, they may be impressive, but they simply do not make you a quicker, faster, more agile basketball player. So what is agility? And is agility the same as the ability to change direction? Agility is defined as the ability to move quickly and easily. Another definition by Shepard and Young from 2006 states that agility is a rapid, whole-body movement with change of velocity or direction in response to a stimulus. Their thought was that being agile is the result of being stimulated to move. Like when you're playing defense and the player you are guarding makes a move, and you are agile enough to stay in front of him. Interesting. But that's not necessarily change of direction. That definition is basically right there in the wording, changing the direction you are oriented. But this is usually a result from premeditation. You already had the idea to change direction before you attempted to change direction. Agility is simply reacting, the physical part, and reaction time, the cognitive part. To change direction more quickly, like a first step in basketball or a crossover dribble, requires agility, but can you train to improve your change of direction speed? The answer is yes, you can. But let's first break down what changing direction actually is. It requires you to decelerate and stop the direction you are going and then push off and accelerate in the new direction. In a study from 2007, we learned that men's basketball players can change direction up to 1,000 times in a single basketball game. Elite females change direction about 576 times per game, according to a 2015 study. When you think about quick change of direction, you are thinking about the plays that make a difference in basketball. And these plays last an average of 2 to 4 seconds. Digging deeper, 86% of all sprints in a basketball game are less than 10 meters in distance. And when you analyze all movements you take in a basketball game, close to 60% of them happen in the 1 to 5 meter distance range. Knowing that, it makes sense to train powerfully. Moving the heaviest objects in the shortest amount of time will improve your basketball game tremendously by improving your explosiveness in those change of direction movements. So let's get back to how do you train for change of direction speed, and let's start with the deceleration phase of changing direction. Being able to stop quickly is the first step in change of direction speed. You can have a very quick first step, but if you can't stop going one way before attempting to change direction and go another, that speed is somewhat wasted. So how do you stop quickly? The research is overwhelmingly clear that eccentric strength, or strength while a specific muscle is being lengthened, is the key to change of direction speed. I'll include a few of those studies in the notes section below, but one study from 2014 stated, our results demonstrate that both change of direction tests were significantly correlated to maximal dynamic, isometric, concentric, and eccentric strength, with eccentric strength identified as the sole predictor of change of direction performance. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. The study went on to say that coaches should aim to develop a well-rounded strength base in athletes, ensuring eccentric strength is developed as effectively as the often emphasized concentric, or overall dynamic strength capacity. One of the biggest ways I do this with my athletes, and you should too, is to use tempos in your training. While most athletes will simply drop to the floor when attempting a back squat, my standard tempo for a back squat is 4-0-x-0. That means an eccentric, or lowering, many call it a negative, for 4 seconds before returning explosively to the top. Now, while this isn't technically eccentric training, that involves even longer eccentrics, using a 3 or 4 second eccentric on all your lifts will ensure that you get strong through the lengthening phase of your lifts rather than just the concentric. And once you understand how to use tempos, you can manipulate a third dimension in your programming. Most just manipulate reps and sets, but when you can manipulate tempo, your training becomes three-dimensional. Stefan Cazole of Kilo Strength Society has said athletes need to earn the right to train quickly. One thing I do utilizing this concept is my athletes use slower tempos the farther away from competition they are, and as they get closer to competition, their training gets quicker. Eccentrics potentially become faster so as to prepare them for quicker change of direction that they will encounter in competition. But they have shown me they have the ability to control weight through a full eccentric and have built up a solid base of training, allowing them to move quicker. So we've talked about eccentric strength, but what about concentric maximal strength? Just the ability to move the heaviest weight possible. Because seriously, how strong is strong enough, right? Well, get this, when you are braking with the intent to change direction, the research shows that the amount of force being applied through your body is considerably more than your body weight. In fact, Delaney found in 2015 that those forces are as much as twice the amount of your own body weight. So as an athlete, you should be strong enough to be able to withstand up to twice your own body weight. That's your answer to how strong you need to be. That's also why perfecting the Olympic lifts can be key to improving your change of direction speed. Being able to absorb a weight, then change direction with it has direct application to on-court change of direction speed. And the great thing is, eccentric strength is not just for change of direction agility, but also injury prevention. From the muscle physiology literature, we know that after eccentric exercise, the athlete's cytoskeletal proteins, such as desmin and titin, are disrupted and degradation occurs, possibly as high as 30% after a single bout of eccentric exercise. This process results in a protective and adaptation that strengthens the cytoskeletal proteins and prevents them from being damaged in the future. This is one of the major theorized mechanisms as to why eccentric strengthening is important for injury prevention, especially during movements that require rapid deceleration. Again, I can't stress it enough, playing basketball often requires very rapid deceleration. Think of a backdoor cut, a crossover dribble, or sliding your feet while playing defense. These are the times when you are most susceptible to injury. Getting strong through the eccentric portion of a lift gives you added security against injury that you wouldn't get otherwise. Another way I incorporate helping my athletes get stronger through the eccentric portion of the lift is to accentuate the eccentric. You can see one example here using the horizontal back extension. We as humans are stronger eccentrically versus concentrically, meaning we can move more weight through the lengthening of the muscle by simply reaching the dumbbell overhead. We lengthen the lever arm, making the working muscles work harder. While this is a seemingly small change to the lift, it greatly helps to emphasize the eccentric portion. So we've covered the deceleration phase of changing direction. Now let's look at planting your foot and applying a force to the ground in the other direction. Check out my last video on how to increase your vertical jump for some great information on rate of force development and application of power to increase not only your vertical jump, but the application here of acceleration for your first step when changing direction. I mentioned earlier a study in 2015 by Delaney. In that study of professional rugby players, what they found was that the athletes who could change direction the fastest were not the absolute strongest, but the ones who were the strongest relative to their own body weight. This takes into account body composition. So if you're an athlete that weighs 100 kilograms and can squat 100 kilograms, chances are that you won't be as fast at changing direction as an athlete that can also squat 100 kilos but only weighs 75 kilos. And from the research, strength training is the best form of exercise to help maintain lean muscle and burn fat. So if you're an athlete looking to improve your agility and change of direction speed, you might need to improve your body composition to fully optimize your quickness potential. Getting back to being explosive, when changing direction, Lockie, Schultz, Callahan, and Jeffries discovered with their research in 2014 that, quote, bilateral maximum strength as measured by a squat has been related to both linear and change of direction speed, end quote. So while we need to definitely get stronger eccentrically, the concentric portion of a lift is also very important. In fact, a study from 2015 by Spiteri, which used 12 elite female basketball athletes performing the back squat, found that differences between faster athletes across each test seemed to be attributed to the mechanical demands of the directional change, increasing force and impulse application as the degree of directional change increased. These findings indicate that different mechanical properties are required to produce a faster change of direction and agility performances, and the importance of a greater strength capacity to enable greater mechanical adjustment through force production and body control during different directional changes. Basically, the more significant change of direction was needed, the greater the strength was required to execute that change quickly. And the female basketball players who were the faster at changing direction could back squat more than the players who squatted less. It's also interesting to note, just like the 2015 study by Delaney, this study showed that relative strength, being strong relative to your body weight, is critical for change of direction speed. So being strong and lean is ideal when you want to get quicker at changing direction. So I hope this helps you in your training approach and helps you improve your change of direction speed. Please leave a comment if you have a question or would like to start a conversation regarding this topic. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get alerted every time we release a new video. We'll see you next time.